So I wanted to talk a little bit about the question today. Do you love yourself, right? Do you? So I think this is an important thing that we need to be looking into, especially when we're talking about, forming a good connection with ourselves and being really honest and open about answering that question. I think it's really difficult when, a lot of people have grown up in environments where they didn't feel supported, where we were told certain things about us were wrong, right? Sometimes people learn not to love themselves growing up because of the way that other people are interacting with them. Even though some of these really amazing special qualities are good, right? I think also too, society these days is super judgmental, right? And I think it's hard to thrive in an environment where a lot of people really want to see you fail, right? It's difficult. We're being judged in so many ways too, like on our physical appearance, on our financial, our financial success, right? On the type of job that we have. There's so many things we get judged on. It's hard to like yourself when people are like pointing the finger all the time. It's really hard. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that today and maybe go over some ways that you can start showing yourself a little bit more love, right? So let's talk about those for a minute. So one of the first ways I think that you can show yourself more love is to not really worry about what anyone else is doing, right? Like kind of just stay in your own lane. Don't compare yourself to other people. Like you're not less lovable because you make 10 grand more than this person or because you're not up to society standards. What you need to do is decide what your standards are for you. What makes you feel good? What qualities make you think make somebody a good person, right? Things like that. What makes you interesting? What's making your life fun? And make that model of what you think is good and then put yourself in line with that. Don't worry about what anyone else is doing, right? Like you're running your own race. Don't worry about what anyone else is doing. And I think if you know what's important to you and you can kind of model those behaviors and create that type of person that you think is good, you're going to love yourself so much more than trying to make yourself into this idea of things that somebody else would love, right? That's not important. You're important. What you think is important, not what everyone else is doing, right? I think another area, especially if you're having a hard time kind of feeling that self-love, I think sometimes that's difficult, is to make a list of all of the amazing qualities that you have that are special about you, right? And if you're having a hard time making the list, you definitely need to be making this list, right? Until you can put down a whole, I'm good at this, I'm good at that, I actually do this really well, right? Like that's important to be able to say that about yourselves. I think sometimes too we have a hard time because we think it comes off as bragging or like you have a big ego. But I think there's a difference between like talking about yourself in the third person and how awesome you are as opposed to being like, no, I'm actually really good at this, right? Like you're not bragging. You're like, this is just an area of expertise that I have. I'm good. Like I'm just good. That's what it is. And I think that that's okay. So that's another way that you can really kind of learn to love yourself and show up for yourself, right? I think something else that goes along these lines is you really need to be working on your own personal self-healing. That's an act of love to do. It's very difficult. A lot of times too, I think it's challenging because we exhibit certain behaviors and we try to fix the behavior without realizing that underlying that, the thing that's causing that behavior is a lack of healing, right? There's pain underneath there. There's trauma. There's fear. There's a lack of stability or love or something. There's something that's causing that, right? So I think it's really important to do our own healing work, whether you're going to therapy, whether you're doing some shadow work on your own, whatever it is, you really need to invest in yourself. And because it's hard, it's worth it if it's hard because it's worth it. But also too, it's really showing yourself how much you love yourself by willing to dive into those uncomfortable areas and be like, I love myself enough to do this, right? To put myself in a better place, to feel good about what I'm doing every day, to overcome these habits and these things that I don't like that I'm doing, right? So I think that's really important too. And the last way I think that you can kind of show up for yourself and love yourself is to treat yourself well. Are you even being nice to you? Like really sincerely? Because I see so many people that are being horrible to themselves. And I'm like, what did you do that you were so mad at yourself, right? And it doesn't even have to be fancy. Like, are you taking time to eat? Are you waiting until 3 o'clock in the afternoon to eat because everyone else's stuff is more important than your health and your well-being, right? Are you hydrating? Are you drinking enough water? Are you relaxing? When you need a break, do you know when you can just say, hey, like, this is too much. I need to relax and recharge so that I can be good to keep going for the next leg of whatever it is that I'm doing, right? Are you doing nice things for yourself? Like, are you taking yourself out for like self-care things? Are you getting a massage? Are you spending time with your friends? Are you making time for that because it's important to you? Right? Those sort of things are good too. You have to be nice to yourself. If you're not going to do it, who else is going to do it? Right? You have to be able to love yourself enough to be kind to yourself. And especially in those moments when life gets hard, right? Like when you screw up really bad, or you get mad and you say the wrong thing and you hurt somebody's feelings. Like, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means you messed up, and that's okay. Can you still love yourself through those moments and be kind and be humble and try to correct the situation? That's love too, right? That counts. So really, kind of pay attention to those things as you're moving through your life. Those are all different ways that you can love yourself. And I think too, when somebody says that, it's like, well, do I? And how does that work? And what does that mean, right? So these are some different areas that you can start looking into. If you're not doing this stuff, get on it. Do it. You're worth it. You're important. You deserve it, right? You deserve to be loved. Everyone on this planet is uniquely special and individual and has something amazing to offer. But you have to do that work on yourself. Otherwise, when you show up, people are not going to see that, right? They're going to see all this like, negativity that you have towards yourself. And you are so much more than that. You really are. So I hope that you take, the things that I've said into consideration today, and you take the time and energy and effort to work on yourself because you're worth it, right? So until next time, thank you guys so much for watching. If you don't love you right now, I love you, right? And so hopefully that's enough to get you started. So until next time, have an absolutely beautiful day. Thank you so much for watching.